Thanks.
Yeah, enjoy.
You would be sitting in the shower, and then I would come in and I'd join you. And you would have your back to me, and I would take that little loofah thing, and kind of soap up your back.
This piece was actually just a flash of inspiration. In about 3 seconds, I saw it from beginning to end. I saw it from me writing the first note to it being performed and done. And that's why I'm so compelled to get this performed.
You have really spectacular boobs.
The sexual harassment suit against Bill O'Reilly was all over the left-leaning blogs in 2004. I read the complaint, and something in my head went off and said, this could actually be set to music. Of course, my inner critic said, who will come and see like a contemporary oratorio that's probably going to be rather long of this guy, asking for phone sex?
Oh, there was a question about 27 to 28. Yeah, what is it? Is it roll off on one, or is it roll for the whole thing?
Roll for the whole thing. I mean, it is that chord. I would just... The conductor will be Chris Falk, a guy I've known for most of my life. And Chris became the conductor because none of the other conductors in the area would return my calls.
People are actually going to be louder than...
So then I talked to Chris. Well, I've always been talking to Chris about it. Having my best friend and somebody who I actually really respect say, yeah, I'd like to do this, is very flattering.
The dotted rhythms are going to be sort of French style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So exaggerated.
If any woman ever breathed a word, I'd make her pay so dearly that she'll wish she'd never been born.
Andrea Macris recorded him from phone calls. So, his arias come straight from tape transcripts.
And make her so miserable that she'll be destroyed.
Other conductors who have looked at this have missed out on the fact that it's much more about a character study and a story of relationships.
Yeah.
The character is like Caesar or some other classical character, but it's in modern guise. So it's sort of the egotistical megalomaniac. Delusional megalomaniac. Well, that's actually what makes it a modern tragedy to me.
By the end, it's obvious that he has learned nothing, but I actually think that it's more of a comedy in that it ends well. I mean, in the very,
there's a happy ending.
Well, yeah, in this very, very.
But that's for the audience. That's for the audience. I mean, I think that's
like
I feel good about that.
The
because,
Merchant of Venice is a comedy.
And just use your vibrator to blow off steam.
I tried to contrast these terrible, terrible words with very pleasant sounding music to establish a kind of disconnect. In some ways, these nice tunes that are being sung by O'Reilly are sort of being sung to himself. He sees, in this context, he sees himself as a ladies' man who who does everything right.
You've got to vibrate, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Every girl does. Every girl does. Every girl.
Can you imagine memorizing this whole piece?
I tried.
Well, I could do it because I have like 10 pages altogether. I have like 14 pages and 19 words. You'd think Andrea Macris has, all the big arias and along with Bill O'Reilly, but she actually has very little to sing. Bill O'Reilly has most of the talking.
Yes, and she does. She'd kill me if she knew I was telling you.
Andrea has a few answers to his questions here and there, but I'm gonna have a lot of fun just being up there reacting to all of what Bill O'Reilly says.
Plaintiff was repulsed.
So, hope I spelled your name right.
You did.
Great.
Good for you. My
So-
goodness. Are you covering all your bases, aren't you?
I want people to know, sort of what they're getting into before they get there. My mom is a huge Bill O'Reilly fan. So much so that she named their dog after him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Well, the whole premise of the piece seems to be very non-traditional, particularly the libretto.
Yeah.
So, honestly, when I first saw it, I had a wrestling myself of conscience. Is this something I want to be a part of? Is this, my initial reaction to it was not without reservation.
All right, so it's 16?
Right before penis?
Yes, it's 3 before penis, 2 before penis.
Before F?
Such as when he received a massage in a cabana in Bali, and the
You have that?
brown women asked to see his penis and was amazed.
Good question. Yes.
I can't laugh, I'll make
Can he take that word?
What's that? No, that's your word.
I know.
No, I'm sorry, Ross.
Waiting to hear you say that.
You do it with such a sweet
See his... You could just sing the CD.
You're not going to pawn that on me, Ross. That's yours.
He has enough notes.
I'm going to... Embarrassing thing to
I
say.
Okay, that's fine.
Asked to see his penis and was amazed. He flies.
I tell people that I have 2,000 records, but I think it's significantly less than that. I think it's probably around 1,500. The hats are simply utilitarian. I lose umbrellas, and this being Seattle, it rains a lot. I painted the floors, I painted the walls, I did everything that you see. And a lot of the stuff that you can't see. I wrote that myself. My musical career, such as it is, began with the standard piano lessons. And I was just the bane of my piano teacher's existence. She used to tell me that I was by far her worst student. I always wanted to write music. As I was walking to school, I'd have a tune in my head, and I would go and tap it out on the piano. But since I had such a short attention span, when it didn't work, I would just abandon it. It wasn't until the year off that I took between high school and college that I really started to write music.
So what do you envision seeing on this stage then?
We're going to have 5 first violins, 5 second violins, 4 viola.
He came into some money, and I think that's what he's using.
Well, you know, in estate planning and so on, you've got to get the distribution going because of the tax laws and so on. So,
And he's frugal. He doesn't want for a lot.
Yeah, my next question was whether you already cashed my deposit, and that's good.
My estimate as to what my budget will be is $55,000. Basically, all the money that I have in the bank is spoken for. I'm not really paying the power bill. I'm not really paying the phone bill. However, you know, I do have approximately enough money. I'll be paying certain people afterwards, so I'll be able to get all my box office receipts into the bank before they cash their checks. At least that's the general plan.
And how long do you think the piece is going to run?
2 hours. With
His father used to blow blue smoke, thinking, how is he going to put food on the table, you know, just being creative and all this. And I said, don't worry, he will find a way. You know?
I'm more concerned about him driving that damn 68 Chrysler than I am anything else. He's to the point where if he wants to stop it, he just about has to drag his feet. We could make his life miserable, I imagine, but why do that?
Yeah. Riley, can you sit? Sit, Riley. Good boy. His name is O'Reilly, better known as Riley. And he really is named for Bill O'Reilly.
Well, I was quite a O'Reilly fan there for a while, and then I kind of got tired of him.
I like him because he's so quick on the uptake with a lot of people. They try to evade questions that he asks, and he brings them back to square one. And I like that. I know what Bill O'Reilly has done, but I really do enjoy him. I just find him...
The gospel according to
I know.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly, and then...
Make intercourse a little shorter. A little more emphasis on the s. Intercourse, shooby-doo, intercourse.
Oh, plaintive that they would then engage in
I'm not a stranger to unusual subject matter. My project for my doctorate was an opera on the pursuit and conviction of John Wayne Gacy, the notorious serial killer. Gacy was somebody who was compelled to carry out these acts, and they say with serial killers, they confuse killing with sex. There was clearly sexual content in the Gacy story, but the O'Reilly story, ironically, is more about power.
No, I'm sorry. So I think we just switched there, right?
Bill O'Reilly wasn't initially interesting to me, and I don't have any specific axe to grind against him. He just seemed like a guy who wants to let people know that there is a difference between right and wrong, and yet he couldn't see it himself in his own behavior. It seemed like the hypocrisy that we have been seeing a lot of over the last few years with, you know, congressional representatives and religious leaders and all sorts of other very public figures like that. The piece is about how people with power act, as opposed to people who don't have power. without any kind of warning, last Wednesday, I get an email from the Edmonds Community College choir. They dropped out. Igor, I feel compelled to write this letter to you, expressing my feelings about Macris v. O'Reilly. I'm feeling quite betrayed by you. You made it quite clear that although the subject matter is somewhat controversial, here are a couple of things I heard my students say. I can't practice this piece at home because my folks would kill me. I hope that no one I know comes to see this. And my students will not be singing in any performance of Macris v. O'Reilly. But it does have a silver lining. I was able to hire 8 more professional singers.
I'll be right back. We can...
Hi, I'm the responsible party, so direct all the rotten fruit and vegetables this way. So, anyhow, I just want to say thank you for your professionalism. Some people have taken a look at this and just kind of gone, God, no. But I think that there's maybe something more that's redeeming in it. Right now, I am jobless. I get a call asking if I can come into the office because there were things to discuss. And it turns out that I was laid off that day. Does anybody have any questions right now? Then away we go. I was the receptionist, but the company had not been doing very well for the last year, so to say that it was a surprise would be a complete misstatement. It doesn't have to be Andrea Macris, it's just Andrea Macris. But that is not without its benefits. I get severance. On the other hand, once I get done with this piece, I'll probably be going back to temping, which is not something that I really truly look forward to. But you know, that's the price you pay for having big, stupid dreams like this.
Now this is to be in tempo, yes?
Yeah, it should be pretty much in tempo.
Right, I'm with you, okay?
Okay. And...
Defendant Bill O'Reilly's.
Other than a blizzard or volcano eruption,
Abruptly change.
I don't think anything is going to keep this from being performed. As much as I'm looking forward to this, I'm very, very cautious of, you know, some sort of disaster befalling it. But the torpedo is in the water, and, you know, it's just a question of when it hits the ship. And how hard. I mean, it may be a fiasco, it may be a disaster, maybe I may have, you know, 70 musicians and singers cursing my name for all eternity. But I feel that this piece has something to offer, and whether or not that translates into ticket sales, that remains to be seen. As of today, we've sold 75. Meany Hall holds 2,400 people. We've sold 75 tickets. I will break even if I sell 500 tickets. The outcome of Macris v. O'Reilly case, the real legal case, was that Andrea Macris signed a document saying that there had been no wrongdoing. In return, she was paid off. You know, I've tried to be really as even-handed and, say, well, maybe O'Reilly's innocent and Andrea Macris was just trying to extort money from him. To me, that seems a little doubtful. Bill O'Reilly gets to say that he did nothing wrong. And at the end of this, it's evident that he has learned absolutely nothing.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Before we get to the Talking Points memo, I have something very important to tell you. All litigation has ceased. In that case, it has made me the object of media scorn from coast to coast. Today, lawyers issued a statement saying there was no wrongdoing in the case whatsoever by anyone. Obviously, the words no wrongdoing are the key.
There's no wrongdoing are the key.
Some of the media hammered me relentlessly because, as you know, I'm a huge target, as is Fox News. All I can say to you is please do not believe everything you hear and read.
Good news is really good news.
The good news is that Factor viewers and listeners seem to have given me the benefit of any doubt.
Is that Factor? Viewers and listeners seem to have given me the benefit of any doubt when it comes in the media.
This brutal ordeal is now officially over, and I will never speak of it again.
It was so difficult to finish because when I was done with that, I would be done. It's like you were coming down the mountain and you didn't really want to leave the mountain because things were different up there. They weren't necessarily better, but they were different. I believe I spent around $62,000, and I took in less than $4,000.
If we put it on again, I'll let you know. All right, thank you.
But this is some of the most worthwhile money I've ever spent in my life.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's not every day that you get to see somebody take all their money and put it in a bucket and throw it in the ocean. It doesn't mean that it's lost. It just means it's put in a place where you don't know what's going to happen to it.
I'm sorry that it was so offensive.
I think it's much better to sort of go and do something distinctive, do something different. Nobody came away not admiring his courage for really putting it on the line and doing this.
You think of all the work that went into that.
2 years. 2 years he was working on it. And think of all those parts that he wrote and how beautifully it came out.
What's next? Well, like I've always said, straight to the gutter. I knew that probably nothing would come of this, and maybe nothing will ultimately come of it. All I can really do is just write more music.
So anyway, I'd be rubbing your big boobs and getting your nipples really hard, kinda kissing your neck from behind, and then I would take the other hand with the fluffle thing.
Commemorate this event with a handsome and durable Macris v. O'Reilly t-shirt. This is Lufamit does not equal falafel.
Defendant suggested that he would perform oral sex upon plaintiff. and that she would start to perform fellatio upon his but not complete the sex act